session. And
Yes, yes, ma'am. Good
thank you.
afternoon to our guest, Mr. Saurabh Verma, Vishali ma'am, and my dear batchmates. I am Shravya from batch 2022, and I am grateful for this opportunity to introduce Mr. Saurabh Verma to you all. Mr. Saurabh Verma did his Bachelor of Engineering in Mechanical and PGD BM specialized in marketing at TAPI Management Institute, Manipal. He also has fellowship under Insurance Institute of India. He started his career by working in Murugappa Group for over 10 years. Later, he joined Willis Towers Watson in 2013 as Senior Vice President. Since 2018, he has been working as the Executive Vice President of Willis Towers Watson. As geography leader of Willis Towers Watson, he is responsible for the geographies of Ahmedabad, Delhi, Hyderabad, Pune, and Kolkata. We are here gathered today for an interactive session on I brand or building an individual brand with Mr. Saurabh Verma. Let's hear it from him.
Thank you so much, Savya. Beautiful, right? And I think you've done your homework very clearly. So you have produced the LinkedIn details, and I think that's a good job done. I should credit you. I think in what we call in our sales parlance, the right amount of homework needs to be done before you're talking to anyone, right? And it clearly shows. So good job done. You'll make up a good salesperson going forward. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah. So thanks everyone. Thanks Vaishali ma'am. Thanks students. I know that much more meaningful things which we can do on a Friday afternoon or Saturday afternoon. But then yeah, now that we stuck together here for about an hour, about 90 minutes, I think let's try and see if there are things which we can talk about, because that's precisely what I'm going to do. Give a sermon or tell you things which you already know, but it's going to be more of a chat between all of you and me, so that if there are a few things which we can exchange, I think that would be lovely. And that remains the outcome of my desired outcome of today's discussion, that during this 90 minutes, let me try and see if there are things which can excite both of us. And clearly the sole intent, as I said, is to make this conversation interesting. Whether or not we learn anything out of this is actually secondary, and I don't even care whether we learn anything. I think if the discussions are interesting, I'm sure some of it is bound to stay with us going forward. Vaishali ma'am and I have been friends for God knows when. She tells me it's about 15 years. So that's how long we've been knowing each other, and it's been an absolute pleasure talking to young students, learning from them. And I'm very conscious of the fact that I'm not too sure how much you guys are learning from me, but I definitely end up learning a lot from all of you, because the kind of enthusiasm and the kind of fresh ideas that most of you bring to the table, it's very amazing. And I remain mindful that if we have to survive, you are the kind of people who are going to drive the world tomorrow, and therefore your thoughts matter a lot to all of us. Now, with that as a background, right, ma'am, is there a way I can see who are on the call? Because I would like, because my experience tells me that people generally take it slow and they have to be prodded into a discussion. So is there a way I can know who all are listening to this webinar?
Okay, like when you say probably, I don't know if you can see the, because you are a host, so probably you can see the list of participants.
Oh yeah,
So
I can
there
see
are
that.
around, yes, so there are
Yeah,
around 190,
okay.
118 odd students. And for
115
them,
it says,
we enable, right, so we have enabled their Q&A and chat option so that we can take it and it doesn't become too much crowded with people doing cross talks.
Is there a way, if I wanted to invoke someone into a conversation, can that be done?
Yes, you can do that, and I will allow the participants to talk. I can do that.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks so much.
I will do that.
It will make it more lively.
Sure, I will do that.
Thank you so much. Now, why I chose this very topic of building and investing in brand is because I'm pretty mindful that many of you are starting your career, you're going to start your professional career. In fact, I think the first steps have already been taken, because you are in a B school, and it is also a reflection of kind of ambition that you have, that going forward you want to make a mark for yourself in a professional world. So I just thought I'll share my journey, and maybe I'll give you some insight as to how I look at things. Maybe some of them may need a fine tuning. You don't have to agree with anything that I say, but it is important that we do have a conversation around this. So I think first things first. There's a big myth that most young students start with, is that I need to get into a good organization to start with, and it's over. Which means that if that's the sole objective of a B school, which is to get you into a nice high salary job, a good brand name, and it is for all practical purposes you have conquered it. On the contrary, actually that's when it starts. And so I want to be absolutely clear when I'm saying this. This is going to be a lifelong process. This is just one of the many steps that you're going to take during your professional career. And if any of you believes that this is the time when you just get a nice job in the industry that you want, or in the organization that you want, it's all over. It's as I said, that would be the starting point. And what happens thereafter would be a function of so many things. Largely dependent not on your boss, not on an organization, not on anything, but only on yourself. And that is the biggest lesson that I wanted to share with you, that the investment which you are going to make in yourself, those investments are going to be there for lifelong, which means that you need to start with, what do I stand for? What am I taken as? For example, everybody loves, for example, if you're in a particular job, everybody wants to be taken as a sincere employee. Everybody wants to be taken as a hardworking employee. Now, between the two extreme, and I'm saying extreme because, there's something called reality and there's something called a perception. They often should match, but many a times they don't match. Because the brand which you create for yourself sometimes doesn't reflect the values which you would like to give to the world. And what happens there, which means that today, if I want to be seen as outgoing, I want to be seen as a go-getter, I want to be seen as someone who gets the teams together, I want to be seen as a leader, my behavior, my actions, my thoughts should speak for themselves. And that is when the entire world around me starts taking me as that. And that is the investment which I call making in your brand. The investments over in your own brand can happen on multiple levels. There are investments which is as simple as the kind of clothes that you wear. Now that is a very important aspect today. Right from the choice of the color to whether you were wearing a Western dress or you were wearing an Indian dress, or whether you shave, you don't shave, the kind of shoes that you wear, the tie that you wear, the color combination. Trust me, it all goes. Now, these are very, very obvious things. What is not obvious is the kind of investment that you make in you as an individual, in terms of learning, in terms of development, in terms of growth. So I think these are some of the topics which I'm going to touch around. And as I said, there was nothing which I prepared, but this is going to be a discussion. And at any point of time, if you believe that you have something to say, let's discuss, right? And I'm pretty open to hearing you, as I said. So the single most important thing, right, from a B school, most of you would take up many courses. Some of you would take marketing, others would take HR, finance, so on and so forth, and would like to be a specialist in that field. My first lesson for the day, and I want you to be very mindful of this, is that I am pretty okay if you do not get marks, right? I'm pretty okay if you kind of are a average or a mediocre performer in most of the subjects. But I'm not okay if you do not learn the basics of business. And what are the basics of the business? The first thing which comes to my mind is, after 2 years, each and every one of you should be able to read a balance sheet. If you are not able to read a balance sheet in 2 years from now, irrespective of whether you take up marketing, finance, HR, or whatever. Trust me, you will never get this kind of opportunity in your lifetime to go through these basics, and the learning would be very difficult. So give disproportionately high importance to all the subjects on accounts, financing. I think that's very important. I know that Vaishali ma'am will kill me for this, but I think these subjects, those credits need to deserve an undue attention. They deserve an attention much more than all other subjects. Just be mindful of this, that if the business of business is business, the money is the business, which means that if you do not understand the language of money, if you do not understand how the money moves through an organization, I think the job would not be done. So when I say investment in brand, which means that going forward tomorrow, you will take up various responsibilities. And if you look at any career progression, right, in a corporate world, the way it happens is you start managing yourself, which means that you work in your individual capacity. Then you start managing a very small team. Then you manage a small geography, and then you manage a large geography or a large team. The designations could be anything, but this is essentially how a professional career moves. If you want to hit the level 4, there's no way that you do not know, or you do not understand a balance sheet, or you do not understand the language of money. Most of the people who I think who struggle with this are the ones who find it very difficult to move to the next level. Other things maybe you can learn over a period of time. There could be natural learning, on-the-job learning. But this one, if you do not learn your ropes, and you have all those 2 years, I am pretty sure the kind of job which your professors would do, all you need to do is to give some attention, and you'll be good at that. So do not get into this impression, any of you, that I have come here to say, get into marketing, what good a finance credit would do me. I think you will be digging a professional grave for yourself. I think that will not serve you good. So just be mindful of this. And the deeper you go, the better. So even if you do not want, and please take up a few credits more than necessary on finance. Of course, first year would be common, but second year also try, and if the curriculum allows, do take up credits, even if you're not in hardcore finance. I want all of you to speak the language of business. I want all of you to understand how, as I said, how the money moves. So that is my lesson number 1 for the day. Second thing, are there any questions at this point in time? I mean, I don't mind taking a pause for a minute or so, and if there's anything, please let me know, because I don't see any questions, right? I want you guys to ask me questions, because I'm looking at the chat box right now. So please do drop in a question or anything which you believe that was worthy of a discussion. I'll do it. Okay. Second thing, I was talking about the brand, right? And when I say a brand, it's a complete brand, which the way you want to reflect. It may be very different from your colleagues. It may be very different from your friends. Just be mindful. What are your strengths? What is the kind of person you want to be seen? Most of the problems, surely in professional life, but also in personal life, they come because of the way people perceive you, which is different from the way you perceive yourself. It's a classic. I'm sure that most of you lined up somewhere during your lectures, talk about Johari's window and all. But just to give you a heads up, if there is a difference between the way you perceive yourself and the way the world perceives you, there are going to be a lot of challenges in your professional life. Be very mindful of how it is in sync with what everybody sees around you and what you see for yourself. If these things are in tune, job is done. You might think yourself as a very smart guy, a very hardworking guy, but if your boss sees the other way around, trust me, there's no way under the sun that there'll be any development in your career. So the messages which you send, the choice of words which you employ, and the actions which you take, all of them convey about your brand. be very mindful as to what kind of image I want to convey. What is that I need to be doing? Because trust me, nobody is going to do it for you. Nobody is going to invest anything in you. If there's one person who is interested upon your career, that is you. You are that person. If you fail to do good for yourself, nobody is going to spend that kind of interest. Just ensure that you keep the investment at all times in, which means that if it means that I need to learn up something, if I need to, I don't mind expending money for that. If it means learning an additional language, I don't mind expending money for that, because you should not treat that as a cost. You should treat that as an investment. Which means that if going out of your way, disturbing a few nights to help somebody, because I want to be seen as a person who is the go-to person, which means that if there is a crisis, I want to be called for that. That is the kind of image that you want to set. Try and be that person. Try and be that person. People call you up. You should be on their fast dial when they see, yes, this is the kind of person I want to talk to if I'm in a crisis. If I'm saying, assuming that if you want to be that person, but these are the qualities which everybody looks for. Everybody wants a friend who can help them. Everybody wants an employee who can bail them out. Everybody wants a performer, and nobody wants to do anything about it, which means that nor your team, nor your boss, nor your colleagues, nor your organization will do anything about it. Most of them will do things which is prescribed and which is once, and unfortunately, one size will not fit all, but that's the way they do things. Which means that you got to know yourself, okay, this is me. What is that I want to be seen as? And what is that I'm doing about it? For example, if you want to be seen as somebody who is creative, somebody who reaches out to the people, somebody who wants to be known, what is that you're doing about it? Am I taking time out? Am I foregoing a movie? Am I foregoing a discussions with my friends and utilizing that time to create content and then put on LinkedIn so that everybody wants to see it? I mean, everybody can see it. For example, I'm just giving an example. If some of you believe that, yes, I want to be employed in A or B industry, I think the work should start right now. Which means that you should start investing in that industry, start knowing that industry, writing articles. They will be lousy to start with. Take the help of your teachers, take the help of your colleagues, start posting them on LinkedIn. Start being seen as someone who knows a little more than on that subject, more than everybody else around you. And that is how specialists are made. Because your understanding, your knowledge would be more than everybody around you. If you start doing these things, that is how you create a brand for yourself. And people go at a great amount of length because they want to be seen good in something particular. If that is done, I think half of the job is done. Problem is that when I look at a lot of young people, they either forward some message. I mean, I'm talking about LinkedIn. Unfortunately, I'm not on Facebook, so I don't have much idea there. It's such a beautiful tool because a lot of professionals are there. You know, if they find something valuable in what you have to say, trust me, it will catch their imagination. But we are shy of creating original content because A, it takes a lot of time creating original content, and B, we believe that we might goof up. Fact of the matter is that, yes, you will goof up to start with. Maybe it will take a while before you become good at that. But that is not the reason for you to stop. You need to start that journey and you need to start creating a brand for this. You guys are lucky that today, you know, the world is your arena, which means that you can be heard by anybody sitting anywhere. If rightly employed, this could be such a powerful tool for you to be seen as a subject matter expert of something. It will require efforts. Originality requires efforts, you know. And trust me, it is not talent. I've never been a fan of talent. I think everything there's a science behind it. If you understand that, if you knock it down to basics, there's a series of steps which you need to be doing. And if you do those steps, A, B, C, I mean, in all likelihood, I see a question there. Let me pause. And what was my inspiration in career? Shankul Nigam, right? Okay. Okay. I'll be very blunt about this. My sole inspiration thus far in life have been earning as much as possible. I know it doesn't sound like a nice answer, but that's a fact. I want to earn as much as possible as my time and talent and my energies and my capabilities allow. I want to maximize there. That's one big inspiration which I have. I think money motivates me. Now, having said that, trust me, that's not the kind of impression that your managers want to look at. If you tell them I'm working for money, nobody's going to appreciate that. But since you guys, I can be totally honest about this, I get motivated by money. If you show me money in a deal, and I'm not saying money only for myself, I'm saying money for the firm, because I have understood that if you continuously create money for the firm, you will be rewarded. If this firm doesn't reward you, which is very unlikely, but then someone else would, which means that how much, and see, these are all commercial enterprises, right? Unless until you end up working for an NGO, everything is commercial, which means that if they're paying you X amount of a salary, they want X plus delta something. So I kind of got it sorted pretty early in my life, saying that, yes, boss, let me create, and tell you the truth, my LinkedIn account doesn't say, my first love was not sales, it was IT actually. So my B school, I mean, I kind of majored in systems, marketing was minor, right? The only good thing which I did was that my wife, who was my batchmate, she's an engineer and finance. Her specialism was finance. So I used to spend a lot of time with her, and therefore she used to bore me a lot with balance sheets and valuation exercises and everything. And just to be with her, I used to spend a lot of time with her, also pretending to act as if I'm interested in her work, and therefore I picked up a lot during the process, which I realized that I should have been smarter enough, and somebody should have told me. See, I come from a totally non-business family. My father went to a government organization. Mother was a housewife, very typical. None in our family was ever good at business. So that business DNA was very clearly missing. And it took me some time to realize that someone should have come and told me day one that, boss, that's not what you should be doing. You should understand finance first, and then you should understand marketing and sales and everything, and thereafter. But finally, it so happened that my professors were hell-bent that you will do better in sales. So I, with a lot of reluctance, because it was my dream job back then to get into IT company, because those days, and I'm talking about 20 years back, more than 20 years back now. I think those days people were, and I had worked very briefly in a PSU. So after my engineering, I started working for HL in the Standard Aeronautics Limited. So I was fixing their wheels and all, but that was for about a year. And then someone told me that if you want to make more money, you go to a B school, and that's how what motivated me to, because I was doing happily in HL. It was a government kind of a job, and I mean, I'm not boasting, but I was smart enough to get in there, and it was kind of, my life was sorted. But then I was not happy with the status quo. I said, I'm not happy in this 9 to 5 kind of a job. Pretty cool, no issues there. But as I said, and then I realized that some of this, because our education system, of course, it is very evolving, and I'm pretty sure that today, 20 years back, it was slightly archaic. But if I look at the curriculum now and sessions like these, they become far more meaningful. And when I look at the way your teachers teach today, it's actually very different. And but I know Vaishali ma'am has trusted me with the session, but I'm saying neither your college, neither your B school, nor your parents, nor your friends, nor your organization is going to do anything about you, unless until you start taking a genuine interest in your career. So my friends, just drill this deep in your heads, that unless until you are interested in your career, nobody would be, right? I see more questions, which is very encouraging, right? And I have Satik Mohanta, how do you see failures and mistakes? Okay, right. I think I make a lot of mistakes. I think everyone should make a lot of mistakes, because the way I look at this is that, and I'm being very honest, I will tell you why mistakes are important and why there is no recourse. I am into sales, right? I talk to very large clients, clients typically who have asset size of over 10,000 crores. And so typically it could be, I do only corporate businesses. For every 10 or 15 or 20 prospects that we set out for, we would be lucky if we get one on board, which means that there's bound to be a lot of failures in the business that I do. But that one success to compensate for everything else. Don't be, and I'm telling all of you, don't be bogged down by failures. It's like investment in stock market. I don't know how many of you doing it. Okay, that also brings me to the next topic, which I'll take up in a short while. If you invest in 10 stocks, right? Trust me, you have to be really lucky that all 10 of them go to be a multi-bagger. Maybe one or two would be a multi-bagger. But the thing is, that investment will more than justify for all the losses that you might have made. And this is how it works. So just do not get overly bogged down by your failures. Just focus on that one success which you want to get in your life. If that one success is there, you sort it. Right, before I take the next question from Ritesh, I just wanted to tell you very clearly, because the couple of points which I thought I should mention. Again, coming from my heavy realization that unless until you start knowing your industries, and Vaishali ma'am, you would have heard this from me maybe a million times. I keep saying this to everybody. I do not mind if you guys do not do your assignments properly, if you do not, but I'll be really upset if you do not read Economic Times or a business, anyway, I'm not trying to advocate Economic Times, but I think it's kind of tried and tested. Start reading Economic Times every day, at least for an hour and a half, maybe 2 months. You will not understand, you'll understand zero out of it, but keep at the job. Keep studying it. 2 months down the line, 3 months down the line, maybe you'll start understanding. But trust me, if you keep doing it and do not rely on your library newspaper, invest in your own personal copy, get a copy in your room, go through that, find 1.5 hours. They should start with that. I'm telling you guys, if you follow even one or two of the things because I wish somebody, came so heavily saying that it's like the thing. You need to understand what's happening in the world. You need to understanding how organizations are run. You need to understand what are business cycles. You need to understand what's happening in the financial market. If you understand all that, trust me, everything else would be wonderful. So, and second, one of the better way of doing it, I strongly advocate it. Whatever your pocket allows, maybe 500 rupees a month or 1,000 rupees a month or 5,000 rupees a month, I don't know, whatever it allows, start putting your money in the stock market. My knowledge of stock market is pathetic, but I want you to start, because that's the best way you can teach yourself about those organizations. When you see those money going up and down, trust me, and you put together your knowledge from Economic Times, you will know how a particular industry is going, why a particular industry or a particular business is going up and down. Trust me, it cannot be done with fake money. Put some real meat on the table, whatever you're comfortable with. I'm not asking you to sell your kidneys and invest in stock markets, but I'm asking a very, very minuscule amount of money, but it should be real money going into a stock market. Start doing that. And trust me, in a very short period of time, because you'll see the money going up and down, you'll start talking about money. Of course, as I said, I was not trained to give you anything on the stock market, but I realized that one way of learning the markets, one way of learning the organizations is investment. Do not go buy a mutual fund, because they do not teach you nothing, right? It's putting your wisdom. Put enough money that even if it becomes zero, you do not kill yourself. Just park that amount of money and start talking about those organizations. See, why are those organizations going up? Why the stocks are going up? Of course, there are a million reasons why stocks move up and down. And as I said, I don't want all of you to be stock brokers or traders, but this activity has to be done because I want that lingo to be part of your discussion. Which means that tomorrow, if you see a particular stock going, you will understand, okay, this industry, at least the people believe so, this industry is going to go up because of ABCD reasons. And that is how you become a better at discussion, right? I have taken questions from Satvik, Ritesh, Ajay, Shubham, Ajay. No, I'm not going to take questions from boys only. I want this to be gender agnostic thing. And next question I want to take up only if it comes from a girl, right? Otherwise, I'm not going to take that. That's the way it is going to be. I think there has to be there should be a proper gender distribution. But anyway, till the time we wait for that, how do you visualize your career? I'll come to that because this one is okay. The next question is, so you could please elaborate on how one should prepare for a company which has wished for work in future. In case I improve, what should be my preparation from now on? Now, this is the kind of question that I thought we will discuss. This is important question. First of all, I think none of you should be too bothered about working for a firm. You know, whatever that firm is. KPMG is a great place to work. I mean, you know, I think 70% of my batch guys would either be in one of these big four or in an IT company. But I think you shouldn't be bogged down working with KPMG. It's a good point. I mean, and I respect that decision. But you'll realize that the completeness of a job cannot be defined by working in just one firm. Today, I understand. Today, you might be dead sure that yes, once I get into KPMG, that would be, as I said, that would be all. No, that doesn't happen that way. I think you shouldn't be bogged down about working in KPMG alone. I think what you should try to do is that realize that, okay, if I have to work in all the big four consultancies, what are the kind of people that they employ? What are the kind of skill set they have? What is that I can do to acquire that skill set? Is there someone I can talk to KPMG over a period of time and see, is there a way I can get my summers in KPMG? Now, it's all going to be difficult, but trust me, if you prepare from right now, I think you have enough time. You have 1 year before your summers. And if you get into KPMG in summers, you know, the job up to that extent becomes easier. Start identifying people who can help you in that journey. It's not going to be easy. But then if you look, okay, there are, if you, I mean, since I have like half a dozen guys in KPMG, there are multiple streams, right? So for example, there's a team in audit, and they have different industry verticals. Within that industry verticals, it's something which excites you. The question you should be asking, how much do I know about KPMG right now? If the answer is yes, good. But if you do not already know about KPMG, you should start learning about that organization. And as I said, break it down, look at what is that I need to be doing to get into a KPMG summer training. Is that possible? How can I make it possible? KPMG on its own may or may not come to your campus for summer training. But if you start thinking about it, I think you've got 1 year to break your head over this. Ajay, I don't understand your question. What are your views on risk, like taking money risk? I don't understand the question. If your question is that should I be taking a risk with my money? I think we take risk all the time. Yeah, okay, Ajay, right. So the thing is, we take risks all the time. You know, the biggest, I mean, this is a cliche, but it's unfortunately, it is true. If you do not take any risk, you're going to be doomed. So risks have to be taken, which means that there are things which you need to be doing with anything in your life. Why money alone? I think, and the good part about most of you, as of now at least, is that you have nothing to lose. I mean, you know, you need to take as many risks as possible. This is the time to, and I'm telling you, do not ever get bogged down in your life by those failures. Any amount of failure, it will be a pain, obviously, you know, it hurts you. But then remember in your head that I do not need to be successful at everything I do. I need to be successful in those just 1 or 2 things in my life. See, I don't know how many of you know, but to most of the people I know who've run businesses, they run multiple businesses, you know. Not all of them are profitable. Only some of them give money. But some of them go to give money them up to such an extent that, as I said earlier, it kind of justifies. Ashi Goel, hello, back to you. And already an entrepreneur, shall I take marketing or finance or both? I do not know the answer, Praveen, but what I know is that finance is like not even a choice. You think of whether you want to take marketing or not. I leave it to your discretion, but take finance for sure. As I said, whether you're an entrepreneur or you work for somebody else, end of the day, some point in time, if you want to manage a large geography or a business, you need to be good in this thing. Okay, Ashigol coming back. Vaishali ma'am, tell me if this is, because I just want to answer some of these questions, right? I didn't want to be a monologue. So if you believe that this is not the way you intended, let me know. But
no, I think, sir, it is wonderful, because if we have a free flow discussion and they are like very new into the system, so it's good the way you are addressing them. So the others will also be motivated, that if they are having any thought and they want to ask me.
Yeah.
So it will be good.
Right. Okay. Great. Ashigol, what if we invest in mutual funds instead of shares? I'm not the right person to answer this question. A lot of people will tell you that if you do not understand mutual funds, shares, you should start with mutual funds. I take actually the very opposite view. My idea is not to make a millionaire while you are in college by investing in shares. My idea is to make you aware of what's happening in the market. Mutual fund will not teach you anything. My thing is that go to the share market directly. Start with very little. Start with 500 rupees a month, you know, or maybe whatever amount you can spare. But this will give you the right kind of learning, the kind of learning that I want you to have. And actually, don't get me wrong. You know, unfortunately, in our country, you know, most of the females are not interested with the money. So if you look at fund managers, if you look at our family, it's the men's folk who are interested with the money. I think that's the biggest rubbish idea which or the custom which I see. I am lucky that I'm surrounded by some very smart females in my life, and I think they are a million times smarter than I am, and which means that you should start speaking the language of money. You should get into investing in stock markets. Maybe over a period of time, if you start making good returns, do not forget to give me 5% for this advice which I'm giving you right now. But I would recommend that you go straight into shares. Open a demat account, start putting in some money. I think be judicious. Do not blow up your house that your parents, you know, they kill me for this, giving this. But I'm saying just put up a benchmark saying that, okay, 500 rupees a month, 1,000 or whatever, then just stick to it. Be very disciplined about it. In fact, there are lessons in discipline also which you'll get once you start investing. Trust me, it is something which will teach a lot what's happening in the market, and therefore, when you correlate it to the business, and then you correlate back it to what's being taught in the classes, I think it all kind of falls. Trust me, it's a very, very practical and pragmatic way of learning things. Saloni, are you asking me, sir, introvert people do good in HR? I'll tell you my view on this. I think I'm presuming that you are asking this question for yourself, and you somewhere in your head you believe that you are an introvert, and I think you know, introvert or extrovert doesn't matter, frankly speaking. What matters is that today, whether you're in HR or in your marketing or you're in finance or in your IT, everything beyond a point is a people job, which means that maybe early in your career, you may, since you're doing things on your own, you need to be good in the technical stuff. Whatever the technical stuff, you need to be working hard. And And I'm telling you guys, do not bother too much about, just bother about getting the basics right, which means that I'll work a shade harder than everybody around me, which means that everybody should start believing that, yes, this guy is actually a very hard worker. And 9 out of 10 times, even if you're wrong, that would not be questioned just because you work hard. Over a period of time, and when you're my age, you can maybe start taking liberties, but beginning of your career, just work slightly harder than what everybody else is working, which means that, you'll have to make a few sacrifices, which means that if your boyfriend or girlfriend wants you to go for a date, say, okay, no, I just want to get this job done first. Because these impressions go a very, very long way into shaping your career. If you get the basics right early in your career, you're sorted. And frankly speaking, if the word of money, the word of the corporate world doesn't enthuse you much, I think perhaps you're wasting your time. That's the way I think. A lot has been said about free learning, and I respect that. But I also believe at the same time that you should have some idea as to where things are moving. You should have some grip as to how you like to shape your career. It can't be totally free-flowing things, which means that my friend who asked about KPMG, that question needs to be asked today about KPMG. That question can't be asked 2 years down the line. If you are desirous of working in KPMG, you need to ask everything up to yourself. What skill set, what people, how do I get into a summer training? What is that I need to, whom should be I talking to? A, B, C, D, get this sorted. Otherwise, I've seen people struggling even 10 years down or 15 years down the line just because they could not get a grip on things. And I'm happy that some of you are very clear in up to that. So it's good. Okay, 1 second. Oh. So Saloni, just to answer your question on introvert people, you have time by your hand. Whether you are an introvert today, it's okay. But trust me, you will need to. Actually, that's I don't know what exactly you mean by introvert. But my deal is that, as I said, independent of the function that you work, you need to be a people person at some point in time, which means that you need to be good in terms of relating to people. So if you're not good at talking to people, you think they are a nuisance, which most of the time they are. But then this is the world that we live in, and you will have to work with them. Find a way out. Otherwise, you're gonna kind of, in my opinion, hurt your career. Now, different people may have a different take on this, but this is my take. You need to be good in terms of talking to various people, and it's not that difficult. No, I understand. As I said, most of them might be lousy, but still find your system that at least you do talk to them. Because if you do not enjoy talking to people, somewhere on the line it will start showing on your career. That's my take. Okay, Sawan, your question is again on Big Four with no work experience presently. It's okay. Most of us start with no work experience. As I said, same answer to you. Start getting into what they want to know. Can you really talk of a balance sheet? Can you impress with accounts? Can you really impress with your financial understanding, financial knowledge? Maybe those are the skills which you need to develop. Because frankly speaking, if you do not have good knowledge around that, no, you'll find it difficult. But as I said, you have time. How do you cope up with failure? How do you stay motivated constantly towards your career? Right, Anchal. I stay motivated because of a couple of reasons. I need to do this. My father has not left me a strong will or a lot of estate. So I need to earn. Secondly, I actually enjoy this job. Trust me, more than anything. I enjoy the fact that it gives me an opportunity to talk to so many people and across geographies. I love meeting people. I love taking my pitch to clients. And as I said, I get rejected, 80% of the times, but I don't care. But it kind of motivates me, because that one success which I enjoy with the team, it takes care of everything, Achal. As I said, guys, you should not bother about failure. In fact, if you're not failing enough, it means that you're being stupid, which means that you're not doing anything worthwhile in your life. So don't bother about failure. Shavik, how to run the market strategies for success? I will not take that question. Because I don't understand that question. I'll come to it later, maybe towards the end of the session. Will you please let me know how to invest money in stock markets? No, Manish, I do not know. I think you have to learn it by yourself. Start investing 200 rupees a month or 400 rupees a month. You will start understanding it over a period of time. Trust me, that's how it works. Unless until you blow your own money, you will not learn. No amount of, you can learn from so-called experts, but I think there are no experts actually. The best way of learning is putting your money where your mouth is. Go put your money, start reading Economic Times. You'll still lose money, because there's no way. If it was a surety, if I knew how to make money, I would have possibly, quit my job and made money only on stocks. But I don't recommend that either. But I think I want to talk to you about.
So there are a few questions in the chat also, though I'm telling students to put the questions in Q&A. There is one question which Shravani is asking, that she wants to know more about building our own personal brand. So she is asking that what could be the specific things which could be learned to build our own personal brand.
Yeah, because I think these questions, there are 3 more questions. I'll quickly take it and then come. And my last question, sorry, Manisha Gupta, right? Manisha, right? So sorry, Manisha. But before that, Abhinav Kumar, are you satisfied with your current position in your life, or you want to grow more? Abhinay is asking. I think the answer is never satisfied. I'm never satisfied with what I have. Of course, I'm happy about it, but the fact that I think there's so much to be done. So Abhinay, no, I don't think ever in my life I'm going to be satisfied that I've done it all. Frankly speaking, if I look back, and I tell you what, back in 1999 when I was in my first job in 98, right? And that point of time, I thought that the day I make about 50,000 rupees a month, you'll be like, oh, I would have done everything in life. I am decent, right? But I still believe that I should be looking at maybe why not doubling or tripling it or whatever. So no, at no point in time I'll say, oh, this is enough. Does unapologetic nature helps in marketing? Ajay, no. I think the basic courtesy. So see, when you say unapologetic, apologies should be only for others, right? You don't have to give apologies to yourself. Never apologize for to yourself. Only apologize for your behavior to others. I don't think people want to see someone who's very brash. People want to see someone who they can relate to, which means that if you make mistakes, offer your apologies, it's all good. It doesn't, see, back in my mind, I know that yes, I'm making this mistake, I'm apologizing, which is good. But will it stop me? No. I'll again try. So just take it with a pinch of salt. Unfortunately, whether it is, and I'm saying this is nothing to do with marketing or finance or HR. So I'll just take the first part of the question. Second part is universal. Just keep on being a nice person, but a very, very headstrong person, which means that I do not want to rub people the wrong way, because then it kind of, I have to fight other battles, which sometimes in life are useless. So don't fight those battles. Everything you do, Ajay, try to focus into put that into 2 buckets, core issues and non-core issues. Look at the core issues, ignore the non-core issues. Invest most of your time, energy on the core issues. Do not give too much of importance to the non-core issues. That way, you'll be a sorted guy. Sir, Rupal, yeah. Rupal, you asking me what I want to ask, what do I value the most? What do I value the most? The money or the kind of job I want to do? Okay. So I think they sometimes go hand in hand, Rupal. It's not either or condition, right? Whether you say money or, trust me, even the best of job without any salary is no good. And the most paying job with a lousy work environment and a horrible boss is again no good. So no, I think it'll never be either or. You just need to know what that right balance is. As much as I harp about money, the fact why I'm going good is because yeah. So I think it's never in absolute sense. I'll pause for a question. I'll go back to what a friend asked. Where is, sir? There's something which I'm not seeing, madam.
Yeah, actually by mistake, Shravani put it in the chat. So there are two questions which she has asked, and both of them are relevant. One, the specific things to build an individual brand. Two, she's also asking, is it important to showcase our achievement on LinkedIn? So how can we use LinkedIn basically to...
Okay. I'll answer the second part first. I think if you're smart enough, right, you will find a mechanism where others end up talking about you. You don't have to blow your own horn, right? Unless until you feel that nobody else. But I think start creating circumstances where people start coming back to you and recognizing you. To start with, over a period of time, people will anyways know what you're doing. But I think when I see a lot of coming certificates, I think up to some extent it is good, but over a point, never overdo it. That's a trick. Just be a shade cautious when it comes to it, which means that be mindful of the fact that we live in a society where ostentation is not, it's kind of sometimes scoffed at. So we do not want to give the word an idea that I'm trying to blow my own toot. No, but again, this is me. You are you. If you think that it works for you, please go ahead. I would not do it. I sometimes try and find a mechanism that, and I'm very clear. I want to show the world good things which I'm doing. So I'll try and find a mechanism around it. I'll try and wrap it in such a thing that it doesn't come on your face kind of a thing, but at the same time, the message gets conveyed. Now, the first part, again, which was a larger discussion that we'll be having before we move to Q&A session, which I'll come back to again, is around that brand building of oneself. Just remember a couple of things. As I said, learning is something which unfortunately most of us associate at that the day we are out of a B school or we out of a college, it stops. Unfortunately, that is the day when it starts. And you will find that as you go forward, a lot of on-the-job learning will happen. And you will need to find time to learn things just to be in the race ahead of everybody else. It could be a simple thing like learning a new language. It could be simple thing like, for example, this fellowship examination, which I didn't start my career in insurance, right? I started that in the steel industry. After my B school, I was working in Murugappa first few years. I was totally in the steel industry, nothing to do with the insurance, right? Per chance, I moved into insurance because the MD of Murugappa from Tube Investments, he moved to Cholamandalam and he took me along, right? And he was paying me more, so that also explains it. But barring that, it was not a really thought over decision. I liked that guy and I knew he was the MD, he'll take good care of me, which he did actually. And because day one, he said, okay, you go and start the branch, which was 2006. That kind of opportunity was very difficult had I not known him, because nobody would make you the branch manager without knowing anything in the industry, but he did. And after that, I did my fellowship in insurance, which took me 2 years, but I think it was so well worth it. There are lakhs and lakhs of people in my industry, but unfortunately, not even 10% of them have gone and qualified for Now that was an investment which I had to make. I thought I've done my engineering, I've gone to a B school, I worked for 5 years, and here I am, I have to reinstitute. Nobody asked me to do that. It was not mandatory. It is still not mandatory. But then I realized that if I care about the brand Saurabh Verma, I need to make to shut myself in the room and say, okay, daughter back then was, she was just born, maybe here. And there were some times when I said, okay, do I want to spend some time with my daughter? I said, no, this is important. Possibly she'd realize, or maybe somebody else could manage her. So I'm saying those small sacrifices which you make along the way, they go a long way in defining your career. And the choice would always be yours. Whether you want to spend that time with your family or parents, which I'm saying not that they're not important, or you want to spend that time doing things which will sharpen your professional career. If you can find the mix, if you can find the balance, wonderful. But what if you don't find the balance? If it is an either or case, those things could be tricky, and nobody else can decide that for yourself. You alone decide for yourself. And as I said, what you choose will shape your career over a period of time. But remember that if I had not made those investments, today it is increasingly difficult because of the time pressures that I have. It is not easy to go and spend that kind of time reading, and because the world doesn't care. But if I put that on my resume, which, I mean, of course, now that I'm looking for a job, it is an impressive statement to make that I'm a fellow in insurance. So those are the kind of investment which I'm saying. And as I said, there are multiple levels in which you can make statement. There's a soft side to it, which means that there could be a new skill which you want to pick up, which has nothing to do with your job. For example, if you're working in a for example, KPMG, right? Now we all know that KPMG has German roots, which means that most of their things are centered around Germany. What if I learn German, right? Some point in time, if I'm talking to someone who is somebody at KPMG and those guys, and I know German, possibly it adds to my resume. Now, learning German is not a one-day job. Now, it's not even a 5-day job. It's not even a 3-month job. It's going to be a good 1-year, 2-year kind of investment. But between today and the time that you pass out, if you learn this skill, even if you increases your chance by 1%, you know, I think it's worth the while. So these, and as I said, these questions about this investment are never going to be easy, because maybe it takes money, maybe it takes time, most certainly it takes both of them, and therefore it's not an easy decision to make. Because I think I briefly ran through somebody saying that it's all the quiz assignments. Frankly speaking, I think it's not a big deal, right? You come to this side of the job, you realize that the time pressure that you're talking about and the things that we talk in you know, it makes B school assignments a kid's job. And actually, you know, you guys are, in a way, I mean, you know, you are just priming up for the real world on this side. I'm not trying to scare you, but early in your life, there could be times where you might have to put in about 16 hours or 18 hours a day, and still your boss may be unhappy about it. And then the question is really about the survival. You know, it's not like, I get a grade less here and it's okay. No. So, and writing on that, as I said, okay, we have about half an hour to go, right? So I think allow me 10 minutes to talk, and then I'll come back to the Q. If that is okay, Vaishali ma'am, if that's the way you want, or can I talk for 10 minutes and then take up questions again, or how do you want?
Yes, I think that will be better. You continue with your talk, and then we will be like coming back to the Q&A.
Wonderful, right? So as I said, just break it down, and it's not like a series of steps or a series of things. I think the biggest thing is around acknowledgement of the fact that I am a brand. You know, I may be a good brand, bad brand, feeble brand, known brand, unknown brand today, but what is the kind of brand that I would want to be in times to come? If you can figure that out, and if you start making those investments today, I think that would be the realization. So some of these questions, some of things which have worked for me may or may not work for you. And I strongly believe that everybody takes his own peculiar path along his or her growth. But then be very mindful that, yes, I do convey, my presence conveys a lot of vibes. If I'm not giving the right vibes, if people are not feeling confident, if people are not feeling happy, people do not want to relate to me, what is that I need to be doing about my brand? What is the way in which everybody perceives me? Do they perceive me to be as a hardworking, go-getter, professional kind of a person? If not, then what is that needs to be done? If I'm perceived as someone who is good at communication, and I think I'm really good at, but if the world around me thinks that I am doing an average job, maybe I need to think about it. Because frankly speaking, for example, and I'll again come back to this, public speaking, right? Some of you might be great at it, some of you might be average, others might be languishing, in terms of if I ask you to put yourself before 100 of audience which is 100 in size, and I ask you to give an impromptu speech, how comfortable would you be? If the answer is no, that no needs to be turned into yes in these 2 years. Which means that even if your legs shake, even if you fumble, even if you goof up really bad, over and over take that opportunity of speaking in front of a large audience. You may do a shoddy job, but trust me, there's no way at some point in time you may be required to do it. And when you're required to do it, if you've not done enough homework here right now, that's no good. Because today your friends, your batchmates, they're frankly speaking, at the best will crack a joke about it and you're done. But tomorrow, if you're doing it in front of your boss, in front of your customers, and there you do a bad job, I think unfortunately it'll reflect very poor on you. And some point in time, you will have to pick up that skill. So I'd say just sit down, start recognizing your brand, start understanding what are those skills which will take me towards leadership. Because as I said, the eventual thing is a large geography and a large team. What are the skills required? I need people skills. I need communication skills. I need skills which I need financial skills because I need to understand the business. Those are the kind of skills which need to be taken up. Whether you classify them into HR, marketing, or finance, I think to my mind they are universal skills which are applicable across functions and verticals. You don't have it, no issues. But if you do not have it 2 years down the line, I'm pretty sure you'll face a lot of problems then. So use this time good. Try to, as I said, first of all, sit down, do an analysis, maybe talk to some of your close friends or your professors. Try and see what do I stand for in my own head, and what do I stand for in the heads of people around me. I think that is the time you will get a really good insight about your brand, right? And learn to accept the fact that the world around you counts as much as for things inside you. Because if there's a dissonance, as I said, there'll be a lot of trouble for you. Because most of you, if not all, I think a large percentage, 95, 98% of people would end up in doing something which will involve dealing with a lot of people, whether in your own organization, even if you're in an HR job, you'll be talking to, if you're in marketing sales, it obviously involve talking to people. If you're in finance, still you need to talk to a lot of people. You might have to talk to bankers, investors, insurance guys, and if not anything, you'll have to end up talking to a lot of people within your own organization, which means that every job is a people job. How do I manage that universe around me is something which I need to understand. Am I good at that? If you're good at that, if it comes naturally to you, wonderful. But if it does not, then what does that need to be doing? As I said, just look at everything. For example, if the moment you walk into a room, do people say that, okay, here comes a professionally dressed person? What if you're shabbily dressed? See, if you're doing a research scientist or that kind of, which means that you don't have to bother about what the outside world thinks about you, it's all good. But as I said, most of you, unfortunately or fortunately, would work where your perception matters a lot. Am I wearing the right kind of clothes? Have I invested? Which means that even the investment there counts. Look at that as a mini investment in your brand. The way you speak, the way you talk, the way you write, the way you dress up, the things you know, the fluency at which you can talk about 10 different companies and 20 different industries. All that speaks a lot about you. Do you want to be seen as someone who is a subject matter expert? What is that I need to be doing? I may be a subject matter expert, but unless until the world around me sees that, it's no good. Am I employing the right media? LinkedIn is just one of them. Why don't I start creating small bits of information and start sharing to my friends, saying that this is what I feel about them? That is a very small way, and it's a very harmless way of communicating. Maybe some of them, 90% of them say, "What rubbish, yaar? Kuch joke bhej. What are you sending me?" And so don't bother. Keep sending it. Keep improving it. Because the way I look at this, your professors, your B school is going to invest very heavily in you for the next 2 years. Not all of you are going to take it because they want to see you successful. Unfortunately, the moment you end up at a job, they will not be as cooperative, right? I mean, I'm saying not that everybody is having a dagger in their cloak, but the fact is that they have a different fish to fry. They'll have other agenda also. Nobody would look back to you and would be as helpful, which means that you got to fend for yourself. So I thought, that there are multiple ways in which you can look at yourself, but the biggest realization comes when you sit down, talk to yourself, preferably write it down, and then say, okay, what kind of person I think I am, what kind of person I want to be. If you get that sorted, and between from A to B, I think with a little input from everybody around you, with a little of professional help, with a little of, when I say professional, I'm talking about people who are on the job. For example, someone spoke about working in KPMG. Then maybe can I talk to someone in KPMG, maybe understand from him what it takes to be in KPMG, what kind of people are they looking at. I'll know that. For example, I'm just taking a very small example, being totally mindful of the time here, that if you look at all these big four guys, right? I don't know how many of you have interacted with them. In fact, my office in Delhi is on second floor. First floor is taken up by PwC. So, you literally bump into them every single day. Of course, not today, but pre-COVID time, they were like, the entire floor was PwC and we were like on the second floor. All of those guys invariably would be in jackets, and they'll be dressed in suits, business suits, which means that I need to start thinking in my head, if I want to talk about KPMG, and every possible opportunity, I want to dress like one of them. Maybe people will scoff around you, but I think if you are so keen, I think you should start looking yourself as somebody who's already working in KPMG. I'll start putting a suit on. I think all those things will help create that positive imagery in your mind, and then it'll make you more ready for that. Maybe I know that, okay, those guys are good in particular skills. Am I good on those skills? As I said, I'll acquire those skills in times to come. With that, unless until you have any specific questions, I just wanted to move into, because I think it's important. I wanted to understand the way you guys think, and your questions give me a peek into your head, right? So I enjoy kind of noting what are the concern of a young B school graduate in 2020, in these times. So I love just reading the questions. Forget what I am answering, but I think your questions speak a lot about your immediate concerns. And as I said, don't go blindly by what I have to say, because my life is my journey. What has worked for me may or may not work for you, but few things are given, as I said. For example, investment in yourself is a given. You got to invest on yourself. Learning finance is a given. That's universal. You got to learn it. There's no escape. You may be pathetic today. Don't bother. Learn it, right? Okay. Satyam, yeah, this is what the question which I had meant in Satyam when you said, how to manage MBA active life, assignments, quiz, projects, exams, and more important learning. If you're not used to, and you know that you start from beginning, and you know what is the funda to measure. A few sleepless nights, my friend. Just put in more hours. Nothing. Just put in more hours. I'm pretty sure that you are smart enough to manage it. I think what could be the challenges you maybe finding it difficult to spend time between your girlfriend and projects. I think that adjustment needs to be done, which means that you need to find some time today for, once it gets into your groove, when it's part of your life, I think you should be easy things and no issues from there on. Yep. Ma'am, I'm stopping there, right? And I think I've taken all the questions, everything. If there's nothing else, we can, I mean, what?
There are a few more questions. There are a few more questions, and people have put it in the chat.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I'm just looking at the chat, right?
So, Deepto, like Shravani question you have answered. So, from Deepto and Meghanki, they have put the questions over there.
Right, Deepto, is hard work or smart work which is more important? So, I will not answer this diplomatically, right? Because I think I need to take sides. I think, I mean, it's very easier for me to say, and that's a fact also, that unfortunately both are important. You know, it's not like either or case. But if I were to go strictly with one, let's say this is something which you have to have, I'll say it's hard work. I think hard work 9 out of 10 times will beat smart work. At least in the long run, it'll beat. Which means that you might be the smartest guy around, but if you are lazy bones, nothing much can be accomplished. So, without trying to underplay smart work, which is very important, but I think if I were to choose, I would say it's hard work. And I'm saying it courtesy the experience which I have in last. So, and I'll illustrate this for you. My immediate boss, right, is in fact I have a dual reporting. So I have a reporting to a head of India, but I also have a reporting to a guy who was the CEO of a large firm. You know, when I say large firm, about 2,500 employees, and he was the CEO there for 6 years before moving to us. In my own head, I would like it to be true, but I'm saying, even giving myself, the question that I could be wrong. I think he's not that smart a guy. But trust me, Deepto, every single morning, Saturdays and Sundays in COVID times, 8 o'clock the burger is, and he is the last guy to shut his laptop. He may be working, he may not be working, but every time I talk to him, and I can sense that he's putting a lot of efforts into his job. He's working very, very hard. Absolute hard worker. Because there were times when I asked him, why this guy is even my boss? Does he deserve to be my boss? Which is a question that most of us ask any which ways, but I was trying to do an honest assessment. But I think that guy is a much hard worker than I am. And therefore this could be the reason that he's the boss. So yes, no substitute for hard work. Even if you're the smartest guy in the world, in the world, just you have to work hard. And then I have a question from Meghna, right? Meghanki, sorry. Sorry, Meghanki. I am aging, right? It's a very small font, but Meghanki, right? Meghanki Goswami, you asking how to be a smart interview if we don't have an answer asked. Okay, I think my take, openly admit that you don't know the answer. Don't try to fool around, because people usually you will find guys who must have been interviewing for a very long period of time, which means that those guys are smart enough to separate the cheese from chalk, and they will know. 9 or 10 times your bluff would be called. So don't try to bluff. Just be very candid, saying that you have no clue as to what they're asking. That's what I think. I mean, I would have, if I was interviewing someone, I would want people to be very upfront. It's a different issue that I ask them 10 questions and all 10 of them say I don't know. Then possibly they were not good enough for the job. But maybe 1 or 2 questions I don't mind. It's not expected to, as I said. But personally speaking, I'm more interested in knowing what they know rather than what they don't know. So it's a different. I mean, my philosophy is that people may or may not have this philosophy, but it's pretty natural, Meghanki, that if you are getting interviewed, there would be questions you don't know the answers of. Perfectly okay. No, don't bother too much. Ma'am, I am done.
Okay. Right. I think everything is being done. So yeah, great. I think, sir, you have addressed most of the questions, and like still, if there is any student who wants to ask any specific question, can feel free to ask. So I will also request you if you can share that exactly what your organization does, because I'm sure these people, they have got, because you have spoken so much about finance and stock market, and most of the questions are coming from there, and you were constantly telling that you are into sales. So I'm sure it will be interesting for them to understand what your business is and how do you find money and how do you show money to your bosses.
Okay, so Willis is a 200-year-old organization, right? Willis got merged with a firm called Towers Watson. Towers Watson itself is a 150-year-old organization. So these are very old organizations. Willis is a London-based. It's the oldest broker in the world. You know, the oldest insurance broker. And Towers Watson, we do a lot of things on the consultancy side. For example, we do a lot of actuarial studies, and I don't know how many of you know, but we hire most number of actuaries in India on the consultancy side. So our job primarily is divided into 2 parts. One is the hardcore insurance broking, the corporate insurance broking. When I say corporate insurance broking, I'm typically talking about very, very large assets. So it's like someone who owns 10, 20 ships, you know, someone who wanting to send a rocket to the moon, the World Trade Tower. Incidentally, we were the brokers for Titanic, the World Trade Tower, the Malaysian Airlines. I'm giving you all examples where we got the money paid, you know, all those typically large risks where there were huge claims. So Titanic was insured by us, you know. We also insured the moon buggy, the first, the rover moon buggy sent by NASA back then. We were the insurance brokers for that, consultants for that. So typically when people have very large and complex risks, you know, they come to us and we try and work a solution around that. Globally, we hire about 40,000 people and we are present in about 120 countries. My job, I like to call it sales. Of course, now the job is getting diluted because of, and I don't like it one bit, but it's something which I have to do. It's more around team management, blah, 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 running a P&L. But I like to stand right in front of my clients, you know, getting business on board. So that's one thing which I love. But now I run 5 geographies. We have about 8 geographies in India. 5 of them are run by me. So typically I'm managing, half the organization, so as to say. So, but, and then there's the consultancy division. So those guys work on talent and rewards. They also advise insurance companies back in turn because they hire actuaries, so they go back to them. And we do a lot of large pension fund management, all those things. We're not into stocks. We're not into mutual funds. We do not do any such thing. That's something which so this is what we do. Recently, Aon and Willis Towers Watson. I don't know how many of know about Aon, but Aon is again a global behemoth. They are also a very old broker. Aon and Willis are merging. The news is already out there, so I can share with you. Next year, we would be the largest broking firm in the world. About 80,000 employees, about 50 countries where we would be running our businesses, which means that we would be, Willis Towers Watson is number 3, Aon is number 2. but 2 and 3 are merging together to be the largest in the world. So that's my side of the story. And
So there is one
yes,
more interesting question which Monique has asked, probably.
yeah. Let me have a look. Oh no, the Devashi's good. Intraday trading also goes into loss, so there is suggestion. No suggestion, Devashi's. No, don't ask me questions on trading. I just thought, no, my job was not to make you guys money on that. My job was to make you guys interested in the financial world. Yeah. So Devashi's, the day I open my broking firm, then I'll call you up for investment. But till that point of time, you know your own. But do open a demat account. Do not. Where did you do? Don't do intraday. Intraday trade is. I don't want you to be traders. I want you guys to be learners for 2 years. You'll have enough opportunities to make money later. Just do not get bogged down by making money as much as about learning. Trust me, this is not the time to make money. And no amount of money you can make in these 2 years, unless until you are really lucky and you invest in. I mean, I don't know, God knows what, but don't. Anyways, right. I'll ask. Monique has asked something. Due to effect of pandemic, our interviews and all might be virtual. How much importance is given to video resume along with your documented resume? Does video resume coming into the recruitment process? Okay. So, Monique, we have recruited about my own team. We've recruited about 6 people, right? During the pandemic time, various locations, Pune, Delhi, we have it. And I think nothing has changed much, except that a couple of things which you need to be pretty sure about during interviews, which means that you need to get the right internet connection, you get the right video, you get the right ambience, and you are pretty sure that you look good on that video. Now, if you can manage all that, frankly speaking, nothing has changed. And on the thing of video resume, why not? I mean, the world is going digital, so why not? It's good. But be sure to do a good job. You know, just because it has to be done, just because the idea is bright, if you can get the right video, I think you should go for it. Most certainly. Yeah.
Right. So,
and
I think one more question
last
has
question, ma'am.
come.
Last question
Okay,
I will take.
sir, this is actually an interesting. Yes, sir, last. Yeah.
Yeah. How to manage under a biased boss. So, first of all, let me call a spade a spade. Everybody's biased. Get this thing out of your head that you will get a boss who is not biased. If the bias works towards you, you'll be happy. If the bias works against you, you'll not be happy. As simple as that. So all of us are biased. All of us have different thoughts in our head. Over a period of time, we try not to be biased, but the fact is still that we are all biased. We are, programmed that way. That's the way. I don't know. I'm programmed that way. When I go for interviewing someone, I try not to take my biases, but I know in my head that there are live biases running, and as much as I try and work hard upon them, something will put me off, or something will say, okay, this is the person, right? For example, it's taken a while for me to do.
Yeah, I was smiling because I was smiling because you have answered to my question also, because there is something which usually we as faculty members are accused of. And I often come across this question during my meeting with management. So out of some 200 students, there will be 3 people who will be writing she's biased. And again, I really don't have any answer to it.
Biased. But thing is, you don't have to be shy. I openly admit you all are biased, right? The only difference is that I am sitting in a position which is slightly, which can make or mar your, up to that extent. But trust me, we do not ever think that you will ever encounter a boss or a subordinate who is not biased. It takes a hell lot of time, energy, and personal effort to remove your biases. All of us consciously do it because today a lot of science is getting into recruitment. lot of science in getting into management. But I would still say that if you are a smart employee, right, you will try and use those biases for you. Which means that if your boss likes or doesn't like a particular kind of a behavior or a thing, I should be smart enough to know that, and I will influence myself. I don't want to change myself, but at least when it comes to my thing within, I want to be seen in a particular way. So I start making those biases work for me. And trust me, guys, do not ever think that people are not biased. They'll continue to be biased. Just try to make take an advantage out of this biasness and make it. So if you think Vaishali ma'am is biased, try and learn the things which puts a smile on her face, and then possibly you'll start working for you. And don't be afraid, don't be scared, don't make a big deal out of people being biased. People are biased, you know. So it's natural, and people have natural affinity for a lot of things, right? There was a time when I was very particular about the way someone communicated, right? If I thought that the communication was lacking, I thought, the guy is totally useless. It's taken me 15 years, so maybe God knows how much of time, and maybe thousands of interviews over these last 20 years, when I realized that, no, that's one part of the entire thing. But imagine that despite all the training which is poured on our head, and Towers Watson, the consultancy part, they train people on this. And my own organization, so it's taken a hell lot of from my side. Am I really free from biases? No. Am I trying to work upon it? Partly, with limited enthusiasm, but yes, I am working so that I get rid of all my biases. But I'm smart enough to know what works for my boss. So I try and see what works for him. So today, when I see that my boss is up and work, I will ensure that, he also gets the same feeling. Even if I open my laptop, do nothing, but my laptop is up at 8 o'clock. And he says, "Arey, Saurabh, you're working so hard." Yes, I am working very hard. That's a bias. It's a conformity kind of a bias. But okay, live with it.
Right. So so great, sir. I'm sure like students got a lot of answers and the questions which they had in their mind, and we could have a sense that not much has changed for you. The queries are by and large same. And yes, I do remember our discussions about communication of the students and the various other things, and especially. I would just like to add one thing about that question when the student asked about hard work and smart work. So I want to second to what you were saying. Definitely, your intention should be always towards working hard, but probably your approach could be smart. So maybe when you know things better, when you have done it, that's where your smartness can actually play in your favor. Otherwise, if you don't know your business well, if you really don't know what you are trying to do, it will backfire like anything. So that is very important when you are working with smartness. Because most of the students, I know because I'm dealing with them day in, day out, they feel that, okay, the smartness will work, but they should know that teachers allow them to be smart till the extent they know that, okay, this is in their favor. So we know what is happening. So that is very important. Right. Yeah, Kiran.
And at no point in time, I want people to underplay hard work. I think
that's very important.
Good afternoon, sir.
Just a second, I think there is some network issue because, sir, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hello?
I could hear Kiran also.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, ma'am, I can hear you.
Yeah, right. Kiran, please go ahead.
On behalf of the management, staff and students of IBA, I take this privilege to thank you, sir, on behalf for sharing your words of management wisdom with all of us and your emphasis on how important self-investment has given us a better view on individual branding. I'm sure that now all the students are better understanding what are the key areas we need to work in for investing in our own brand and brand reflection. And also, I would like to thank you for being very proactive in taking all the questions and making it a more of a discussion instead of a one-way lecture. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, Kiran.
Also, I'd like to thank all the students for joining this webinar and making it even more interactive with all your questions. Lastly, I would like to thank the IT team for helping us having this webinar without much of technical difficulties. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a nice time, Kiran. Thanks. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
Thank you,
Kiran.
ma'am.
And yeah, so wonderful. It is always wonderful talking to you. Right.
Same here.
So,
As I said, I always enjoy because that's the best hour and a half that I could spend on a Saturday. Amazing. Thank you so much.
thank you, sir. Thank you. Right, sir. Okay, sir.
Yeah. Everybody have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Bye.